This is not just advice, it's a warning, because what you're about to learn won't just sharpen your mind, it will strip away your familiar perception. You'll begin to calculate everything 3 steps ahead. You'll stop trusting people, and maybe you'll start using them. This mental technique doesn't just make you smart, it makes you dangerous. And if you cross that line, there's no turning back. You won't be the same. Before we dive in, know this: everything will be broken into 3 parts, so you'll know exactly what to expect. First, we'll break down the method itself, what it is, how it works, and why it's more powerful than it seems. Then, the dark side, the part no one talks about, where strategy turns into manipulation and influence into control. Finally, we'll learn how to harness this tool for strength, for protection, and to ensure you're the one guiding the situation, not tangled in someone else's strings. Let me introduce you to a cognitive skill used consciously by only a small portion of people. Metacognition, the ability to think about your own thoughts. Sounds abstract? Let me simplify it. Most people get stuck at the first level of thinking. They just react. They feel and they act. Angry, they yell. Afraid, they avoid. Confident, they speak. But someone playing on a higher level acts differently. A level 2 thinker doesn't just feel, he observes how he feels. He doesn't just speak, he asks, why do I want to act this way? Is this emotion helping or hurting me? What happens if I say this, not now, but 3 moves ahead? This is the line between a pawn and a chess master, between the one being led and the one leading the game. Let's add more weight to this by exploring key metacognitive skills. This is where true emotional awareness begins, not with controlling emotions, but with understanding where they come from. The average person operates on emotional autopilot. A flash of anger, anxiety, shame, or irritation, followed by reaction. No pause, no analysis, just action, and often, regret. But in that space lies power. You're no longer a puppet of your emotions. You're a player making calculated moves. The advantage of emotional awareness? You avoid words you'll later regret. When you clearly identify an emotion, you give yourself time to stop before the outburst. You remain calm under pressure. Emotions lose their grip the moment you name them. Even saying, "I feel overwhelmed," activates rational thinking. You begin to understand what others feel. The more you practice emotional awareness in yourself, the better you read emotions in others, beyond words and masks. The person who looks angry may actually be scared. The one who seems cold and distant may simply feel ashamed. This kind of understanding gives you more than empathy. It gives you influence, the ability not only to empathize, but to guide. Quick exercise, multi-layered emotion labeling. When a strong feeling hits, pause and ask yourself 4 questions. What exactly am I feeling right now? What triggered this feeling? Is this the real emotion, or is something deeper underneath? What unmet need or belief is fueling it? Do this every day. Even 30 seconds of awareness can change your life. Remember, unrecognized emotions control you. Named emotions obey you. This is the first step of a strategy master. Awareness before action. Your thoughts are not just background noise. They are blueprints your brain uses to shape your life. If you ignore them, your mind will build a destiny not based on your choices, but on inherited, absorbed, or imposed patterns. That's why tracking your thoughts is one of the most important metacognitive skills. Most people don't think they're thoughts. They just receive them like notifications they never unsubscribed from. I'm not good enough. I'll fail anyway. They probably don't like how I act. Why try if it's doomed to fail? The sad part? They don't even question it. If a thought appears, they assume it's true. But here's the truth the metacognitive mind knows. Not every thought belongs to you. Not every thought is true. And not every thought deserves your attention. So, how does thought tracking work? Imagine you've installed an internal surveillance camera in your mind. You don't let any random thought into your awareness. You check its passport. Especially in emotional moments, a thought comes, I'm not good enough to try this. Most people don't even realize that this is an automatic reaction. But the strategist pauses. He takes a step back and asks, where did this belief come from? Did someone say this to me as a child? Is it the result of a past failure or fear of one? Do I have real proof that I won't succeed? These simple questions break the loop of automatism. They stop the mental spiral and turn an intrusive thought into a conscious choice. Why does it work? A bit about the brain. When you track thoughts, you shift brain activity from the limbic system, the emotional center, to the prefrontal cortex, the area of rational analysis and decision-making. This shift creates distance between you and the thought, and in that distance, freedom. You are no longer the thought. You are the observer, and the observer decides what comes next. An additional tool, a mental journal. At the end of the day, write down one toxic or limiting thought you noticed. Then break it down. Where did it come from? What supports it? What contradicts it? What new belief do I choose instead? Over time, this skill rewires your mind. You stop being a victim of hidden fears and become the leader of your own strategy. Most people wander through conversations blindly. They hear words, but miss the meaning. They react to tone, but miss the intention. They see smiles, but miss the cracks behind them. But the metacognitive mind acts differently. It doesn't just participate, it observes. This is called the art of strategic observation. Your awareness splits into two channels. Channel 1, you're engaged, talking, listening, expressing. Channel 2, you're quietly observing, as if watching everything unfold like a social chess match. And it's in the second channel where the real game begins. You start to notice details others miss. A subtle twitch in facial muscles. A clenched jaw. A flicker at the corner of the lips. Pauses. Hesitations. A shift in speech tempo. All of it reveals insecurity, inner conflict, or deception. You see the flow of power, who interrupts, who mirrors, who leans in, and who pulls away. Status is always moving. You notice triggers, words, or topics that provoke a stronger reaction than the moment calls for. These are emotional mines. You can defuse them or use them. Tense smiles, overly loud laughter, excessive explanations, all are signs of discomfort, guilt, or attempts to hide true motives. Why do you begin to see social patterns before they trap you? Because you no longer see people as they seem. You see them as they are. It's like wearing X-ray glasses that see through social masks. A real example, you're in a meeting. Someone laughs too loudly at your idea. Most people either laugh along or shut down. But the strategic observer thinks differently. This isn't about the joke. It's a veiled attempt to dominate, disguised as humor. Instead of reacting emotionally, you redirect attention and elevate your status. You win without even playing by their rules. Here's the paradox. This is exactly how manipulators operate. They read your expressions, catch your pauses, test your reactions like a scientist testing a hypothesis. They study your emotional wiring. But here's the key. With the same level of awareness, you can either expose them or become one of them. Because strategic observation is a neutral tool. It can be used for protection, leadership, and connection, or for control, domination, and manipulation. And somewhere here lies the thin line between a master of strategy and a monster. A daily practice, the silent observer. Try this today during your next conversation. While speaking, ask yourself, what are they really reacting to, my words or my energy? While listening, carefully notice what remains unsaid. After the conversation, analyze who held the power in the moment and who gave it away. If you do this regularly, Conversations will stop being random. They'll become strategic arenas where every move is deliberate. Most people enter dialogue hoping to be understood. Masters enter to understand the structure of the field itself. So ask yourself right now, am I observing the room, or is the room observing me? Am I playing the game, or am I being played? Because in the next part, we'll descend deeper into the shadow, where this skill becomes not just a way to protect, but a weapon of control. What once served growth and awareness now becomes a weapon. Are you ready to face the monster? Before we dive into part 2, understand this. Everything you're about to learn isn't just technique. It's a key to influence, manipulation, and psychological domination. When metacognition ends up not in the hands of the wise, but the ruthless, it becomes a dark force. You've already seen how metacognition can make you calm, calculated, strong. But what happens if it's used differently? He then uses one of 3 strategies. Exploitation makes you feel worthless, so you depend on him for validation. Exaggeration intensifies your fears until you lose willpower and submit. Mirroring fakes empathy so subtly, you think, he understands me. And that's terrifying. Example, a toxic partner might say, no one will ever understand you like I do. What it really means is you're too broken for anyone else to love. Stay here where I control everything. Sounds like care, but it's a trap built from your own emotions. The next level of evil is thought seeding. You've seen it in politics, advertising, even relationships, but you likely never noticed. That's the point. It works invisibly. Here's how the method works. Instead of telling you what to do, the manipulator steers your thinking until you reach the conclusion they want and believe it was your idea. They use subtle hints, loaded questions, repeated phrases. Example, instead of saying, you should stop being friends with him, they say, funny how some people keep talking to those who never really support them. I could never do that. But hey, to each their own. And the seed is planted. When it takes root, you'll water it yourself, thinking it was your own thought. They don't control your body. They hijack your mind. Now comes one of the most underestimated yet brutal techniques, calculated silence. In the hands of a manipulator, silence isn't emptiness. It's an intentional presence, a tool that makes you feel uneasy, unsure, guilty. They delay a reply just long enough to make you anxious. They stare in silence until you start doubting yourself. They speak slowly with long pauses, forcing you to fill the silence, revealing more than you wanted. Example, you open up, share something personal. In return, silence, just a look, no words. And suddenly you're stammering, apologizing, backing off. They take control without ever raising their voice. This is the face of a predator, one who uses awareness not to grow, but to trap, to pressure, to dominate. But knowing these techniques isn't a curse. It's a shield, because you'll either be a target or the observer who sees the game being played and knows how to win it. Now the power flips. And this is a behavior control system, the same one used by cults, abusers, and false gurus. Example, you disagreed once, they turned cold and distant. You apologized, they became soft again. Next time, you stay silent, even when you disagree. They don't punish you anymore. You punish yourself. But here's what's truly terrifying. Not all monsters look strong. Some wear the mask of a victim. They tell you their tragedies, not for honesty, but to trigger your empathy. They say, no one has ever truly understood me. You feel responsible. I need to prove I'm different. You support, and then the trap snaps shut. Can't believe you treat me like this. After all I shared with you. Now you're the villain in their story, and they're still pulling the strings. This is evil disguised as intelligence. Metacognition itself is neither evil nor good. It's a tool of awareness. But in the hands of someone driven by pride, pain, or a thirst for power, this tool becomes a blade. Monsters walk among us. They wear suits. They smile. They say they love. So ask yourself, are you sure you know who's behind the mask? But even more important, do you know who you become when no one is watching? You've seen both sides of this force. It can turn you into a tactician or a manipulator. But the real question is, how do you gain control over your own mind to become unshakable without losing your humanity? That's where real power begins. And no, you don't have to become a monk or a neuroscientist. What you need is awareness, repetition, and practical tools. For techniques to forge your thinking. First, a mental out-of-body shift. See yourself from the outside. When emotions take over, don't dive in. Step beside them. Observe yourself as a character. Ask, what is he feeling? Why is he reacting this way? What does he truly want? Yes, refer to yourself in the third person. Creates distance and dissolves emotional bias. Instead of saying, I'm panicking before this presentation, you say he's nervous because he fears judgment. But he's prepared. He'll be fine. And the storm within begins to fade. Repeated stress. Before interviews, during conflict, or while making high-stakes decisions, activates what's known as the default mode network. It's a powerful brain system. Within 30 days, you'll have a personal report of inner growth, mental notes from the battlefield. Most people accept their thoughts as truth, but in reality, many of them are echoes of fear, trauma, or someone else's influence. When we blindly believe every thought, we become prisoners of our own mind. The solution: start classifying your thoughts. Is this a fact or just a feeling? Does it help me or hold me back? Where did it come from? Did I choose it or was it planted in me? Use this phrase. When you catch yourself in a negative or limiting thought, say, that's just a thought, not the truth. Example, I'm not good enough to lead. Answer, interesting thought. Who put that in my head? Is there any real proof it's true? This breaks old patterns and forms new ones. You begin to investigate beliefs rather than submit to them. When you closely observe another person, their gestures, tone, and emotional shifts, you activate what's called theory of mind. It's the ability to imagine what's going on in someone else's mind. Combined with metacognition, this gives you a powerful level of social intuition. How to build it? During conversation, split your attention into two streams. First, what am I thinking and feeling right now? Second, what is this person trying to get from me? Emotionally, socially, or intellectually? Ask yourself, what emotional state are they in? What are they trying to hide? What did I say or do that triggered their reaction? This lets you detect manipulation, falsehoods, or hidden insecurities, and it helps you influence without pressure. Example, you notice someone constantly seeking approval in a group. Instead of reacting, you project calm confidence, give light affirmations, and take initiative because you see the essence of what's happening. Mastery formula: pause, interrupt automatic thinking. Name and identify the emotion or pattern. Ask, where did this come from? What's the intent? Then choose. Respond mindfully, not on autopilot. Analyze every interaction. This is your metacognitive loop. Repeat it daily, and your mind will become sharp, composed, and resilient, like a tempered blade. This is how you protect yourself from manipulation, reclaim control, overcome old patterns and inner chaos. This is how you rise above the noise, calm within, emotionally balanced, and strategically clear.